Johnno, you on the plane to Adelaide shortly?
Yeah, I can't wait. It was brilliant last year, and it's going to be, I think, even bigger this year. I think the size and the amount of people going will probably double, I think, after last year. And all the families that are heading over now have gone from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8.
There'll be plenty in the cars right now. If you are actually driving over there right now, because no one can afford a plane fare, and you're towing your caravan because no one can afford a hotel, give us a call and tell us where you are stationed right now, somewhere between here and, of course, the great town of Adelaide.
Yeah, so look, there's brilliant matchups, I think, that are really important in the early part of the season, the way that's worked out. And it starts, tomorrow night is going to be probably one of the biggest games of the weekend because of what the Adelaide Crows need to do on their home deck against a Melbourne team that played extremely well last week. Although they were beaten in all parameters of the game, their pressure was really good and they just converted. So, and that takes me to... Conversion is king at the moment. Like you look at the way the Cats kick, the way the Bulldogs are going at the present time as well.
Nice
but
bumper.
the conversion is what is separating teams. We can have all the stats in the world, but the most important one, especially over the first couple of weeks of the season, has been conversion.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. I mean, Sam Mitchell came into Footy Classified on Monday night, and you sort of ask him how the game went. And he goes, it's pretty tough, when they're kicking him from the boundary line in wet conditions at the MCG. Now, he wasn't at all using that as an excuse, but it's just the reality of it. What they kicked, 17-6 or something, 17-4, like on a wet day at the G, and Stengel's kicking him from the boundary line, check sides. So we don't often look at that. We should look at it more. I mean, Simon Goodwin was accused of making excuses when he went with the expected score in the finals last year, and then Port Adelaide win expected score on Saturday night by 36, so it is vital, and it will be the difference to where your team finishes. Speaking of which...
I don't think, can I just jump in? I don't think expected score is ever an excuse, but what it is saying is you've got the majority of your game in good stead, in good order, but, I mean, if you're missing goals from 30 metres out, well, that's the reason you lose. So you don't throw out the proverbial baby with the bathwater.
It's been in motorsport for some time because you've got your lap time and you might do your quali lap, but you might have your expected time as well, that if you got everything right, you would have done a 34.4, but you've done a 30.4.8 and you've qualied fifth. If you had got it all right, then you would have qualied one. So I understand why it's in the game, because if they did get it right, Port Adelaide, and they got it right with their conversion, they win that game comfortably.
All right, any other observations for gather round, Johnno?
Oh, for gather round as a whole, I think Mount Barker, hopefully it doesn't rain up there this time, Kane.
Because the weather is magnificent. So we're looking
perfect. And that's good.
24, 25.
Oh, nice. I'll pack the shorts and tee for Friday, Saturday with not much going on. If you've got something for me to do on Friday and
down
Saturday,
the beach, go to Port Elliot, the best bakery in the world. It's worth the hour car trip, Johnno. Let me tell you, the best bakery in the world and a magnificent coastal spot. So I'd be heading.
Hasn't consumed a carbohydrate for 5 years.
I live in Geelong, Cornsey. It takes me an hour and a bit to drive to Melbourne, mate. I'm not getting in the car.
Oh, you're not. Okay.
I'm not getting in the car, mate.
Head out to Norwood for the Food and Wine Festival at Norwood.
Yeah. No, but I'm wrapped with the weather because Mount Barker got the worst conditions last year, and their setup was brilliant. The ground was in amazing condition, and they just got the rain, and I think it restricted the amount of people that ventured up to the game. So I'm wrapped that they'll get a massive look at it with the full support, which will be huge.
All right, well, let's move on to your start of your talking points. Just got some social media influencers filming me outside of the Josh Garlap and the boys are there. Follow them on TikTok, Instagram. They do some really good stuff there in Adelaide for gather round. All right, the Bulldogs and West Coast. You'd be pretty happy now, happier than you were 2 weeks ago.
I'm happy with the Bulldogs. They're still not playing at, I think, a level that will challenge the very best. But
what's the issue? What's your main concern?
I still think they have some easier turnovers than they would like throughout the game, and I think they would like to tidy that up a little bit. Their pressure's back though, and I think that's going to become the basis of their game. But many other teams in the competition, we spoke about conversion, but there was about 5 or 6 teams that had their best pressure games for the year so far, and they had wins off the back of it. So I think the Bulldogs have got back to that, and their ball movement from D50 to score is a little bit more fluent than I witnessed last year. So I think that will definitely improve as well. West Coast are a completely different story here, Gerard. And I know that I messaged you during the game after Petrocelli was having a shot about 40 metres out, and he didn't make the distance, and it was 3v1 on the goal line. Bulldogs take the mark and go coast to coast from goal line, score the goal. And so for West Coast, you've got a team that they mightn't be as talented as the opposition at the moment.
Well, they're not going to be more talented than any side this year.
But it's the things that don't require talent are really the focus for me at the minute. And one of those is effort, but two of those is if you've got a teammate who's having a set shot from 40 metres out on a 45-degree angle, you can expect him to score, but you've also got to expect the unexpected in our game. So why isn't there more representation down there looking for that one that might come their way? But secondly, what is going on behind the ball for West Coast when a teammate is in that position if a turnover does occur? He kicks it into the man on the mark or kicks it out in the full, or it's a point they can get the quick play on. So what is going on with McGovern and Barras, the leaders through the midfield? Are they setting up the ground, or are they just sort of sitting there and twiddling their thumbs waiting for someone else to do it? And
are you worried about Barras?
I'm worried about them all, but I'm worried about the senior players that are out there. The youngsters are guided by the senior players. And if they're not in full instruction mode...
Yo's good.
Yeah,
McGovern
good.
flying.
Might be getting kicks, but I'm not talking about the talent side of things. I'm talking about are they so strong verbally out there that you look behind the goals and you'll see McGovern pointing and screaming, and if blokes aren't listening to McGovern, that's on them. But I'm not sure I'm seeing that at this particular point as one of their main leaders when the players completely stopped. Is there a pure desire to set up this ground, to set up defensively, to be able to beat your man, but the team defence to stop the opposition exiting with some sort of speed to score easily
so
on you?
There's a lot of things they can address outside of talent.
Because once the Bulldogs did that, the body language just went completely out of West Coast, and it was kind of like, well, you can do something about that, and you can do something about that pretty quickly. And it's not so much; it's more the instruction. Yeah, the tackle, the smother, the pressure, pick your teammate up, all those little things that can happen in these moments.
So bad at Port Adelaide for a number of years, like 2 or 3 years there, and it got to the point where we started having an enthusiasm award. So who could show the most enthusiasm on the ground? The people listening driving to Adelaide going, what? Professional athletes, and you're measuring each other on enthusiasm. But it got to that point, and it's got to that point with the Eagles. So how aggressively are you manning the mark? These are the things. Smothers. Are you picking your teammate up off the ground? How are you celebrating someone who kicks a goal? All those things we started actually documenting and measuring, and then handing out a weekly award for the player that brought the most enthusiasm. And it kind of works. Like, it kind of keeps you accountable for things that don't require any talent, none whatsoever. And that's where the West Coast. I saw Adam Treloar pointing and instructing and telling teammates where to go on the weekend in a game that the Dogs were never going to lose. So maybe
I saw that on your close checking.
I thought it was good
stuff
because it's not something that you would associate Treloar with. He's just a player that gets a lot of the footy, but you don't.
He's probably BOG close enough.
No, he's having a terrific year.
Now, a lot of people coming through on the text just expressing their support for you, Kane. So don't feel alone. There's a vast quantity of people out there, all wanting you to be supportive, or all supporting. There's a few out there want your head knocked off too. But
hey, speaking of having a good year, Johnno, tell me about a Melbourne player that's caught your attention.
Well, Alex Neil-Bullen is a player that has been in the system for some time now, but it's probably been his last couple of years that he started to just be more consistent in his performance. Simon Goodwin's giving him a role that he can play well, and he's got the endurance to get up the ground, come back. But even the start of this year, I think it's gone to another level again. And I was talking to Horney about Alex Neil-Bullen. I'm like, where does he sit in the competition at the moment from a forward point of view? Now, we break it up, of course. Now, when we look at the general forward, and the general forward is based on your position played and where and how you win your ball. So Neil-Bullen's doing it in a number of ways at the moment. He's doing it inside forward 50 where he can float back through. He's doing it through the wings, handball receives, linking up well. And then he's also supporting defence and getting back and being the high half forward to be able to play that role. So he sits number one in the competition
as a general forward,
forward this year so far. Second,
in your All-Australian team?
No, but second at the moment is Liam Baker. Yep. Then you've got Jack Higgins. You've got Jade Gresham, Thomas Berry, Tom Papley, Jide Caldwell, Isaac Rankin, Ryan Mansell, Darcy Byrne-Jones in those general forward roles. So, you know, there's some guys in there, some young that are coming into the competition and doing a good job, like Mansell being in the top 10, Jack Higgins, who's a consistent performer, Liam Baker, of course, But it just surprised me when I did see Alex Neil-Bullen sitting number one in that particular role. So he's having an impact on where Melbourne are going this year. So who is it at your club that you've seen that massive rise from this year in particular over the first month of football that we've seen?
Yeah.
And you go through it, Corns. And one that sticks out for me is Lockie Fogarty at Carlton.
Yes.
I think he's gone to a complete new level,
Yep.
really consistent in his performance. Tom Powell at North Melbourne, Matty Johnson at Freo, Archie Perkins at the Bombers has been sensational. Wanganeen Miller at St Kilda, Lockie Bramble for the Western Bulldogs. Who would have thought he would have the start of the year that he has off the half-back line? Matty Roberts at the Swans was playing in the twos all last year, couldn't get a look in, and now all of a sudden he's getting 20 plus and having a huge say on where the Swans are going. You go through a couple more as well. Thompson Dowd, Tanner Bruin, I think are a couple of others that have had a great start to the year.
So 0433 98 11 16. The players like Neil Bullen and the ones Johnno just rattled off there, who's gone to the next level at your club. Willem Drew at Port Adelaide has been sensational. Like, he's a really, really important player now and starting to get right up there with the elite midfielders of the game. The controversy over Jack Ginnivan this week, you would have observed this.
I'm not sort of talking along whether he gets the free kicks or not. That's an umpire adjudication, and yes, there are a couple there that he should have received, no question whatsoever. But it's more what Hawthorn are missing out of by him going into this move. Now, I've spoken about it in the past, but Jack Ginnivan, when he gets the ball, especially the Holmes tackle, I looked at this one closely. So he gets the ball, Holmes is coming in, he pretty much drops the ball and searches for the free kick. Where if he absorbs that tackle, he's got Dylan Moore within a metre for an easy release inside forward 50, and it would have been a snapshot at goal. That's what Hawthorn are missing out on because of the way that he plays it at times. Now, he does some good things, Jack Ginnivan, and this has been highlighted. So I go, for me, Hawthorn are missing opportunities to potentially score because he's going into the how do I get the free kick move first rather than how do I hold onto this ball,
Absorb the tackle. Yep.
Absorb, not even absorb sometimes, Kane. It's even just use his sharp step, which we know he's got. Use his sharp step to release it because then the oppo tag the jumper, not drag him around the for a strong tackle or get him around the neck. Then his release, and then they're actually still going as a team because what it does, it creates a stoppage then, and then all of a sudden crowd congested. Hawthorn missed that opportunity. That's what I'd like to see from Jack Ginnivan, and I hope that the Hawks coaches are talking to him about that, what they're missing out of because of his first move and his first thought versus what his first thought I think should be.
Are you worried about the Hawks in total?
A little bit. I probably expected a little bit more from the Hawks at the start of the year. I loved their season last year, and I think I've said about the list that Sam Mitchell and the staff are building athletically, their profile is second to none. It's probably one of the best in the competition, but they just haven't been able to gel yet and get themselves going collectively. So some individuals are going okay, but the collection just isn't working at the moment, and they're key positions down. And I think that's the evolution of the Hawks, but their star-studded youngsters have been okay without being great. Great yet.
Is there a dearth of key defenders in this competition?
No.
You don't reckon?
I don't think. Well, no, there probably is. But are you going to be able to secure them? That's because you need three these days. You need three, do you? You need three, and that's what Port Adelaide have done with Zerk Thatcher and Radigalia.
Yeah.
Are they coming through at junior level? Though, I think is what Gerard is asking.
I'd say they would be. 100% they'd have to be. It's just whether or not you can see the potential in what they can bring. Hawthorn don't need a young defender to come through.
No.
They need to recruit a couple of experienced keys to be able to support that defence.
But I don't think they're out there, Johnno. There's not many. I mean, the Swans tried to pick one up, ended up getting Hamling from, obviously
from Freo.
Obviously, there was a few people in the market for Ben Mackay. Hawthorn didn't get one, so
that's right.
North Melbourne got none. North Melbourne, you're
Melbourne
talking
got zero.
They don't have one.
Yeah.
So
that's right. They got a couple that just aren't there at the moment.
Freo picked up a couple, one in the draft, and they had the young kid come through, 37, who's looks tremendous after 2 games. I can't even remember his name, but I was surprised he wasn't the rising star, to be honest, Johnno. But it'll be interesting. My personal belief, if you want a key defender, go and get a key forward and turn him into
one. Yeah. It's not a bad option, actually.
Turn him into one. A lot of texts coming through about the players that have gone to another level at your club. Morris Rioli Jr., I'm not quite there. I mean, he has some good moments and was terrific on the weekend, but doesn't do it consistently yet. Grindmeyer's definitely.
Yes,
Hayden Young has exploded in the 100%, midfield.
But Hayden Young has been good for the last couple of years.
Off the half-back line.
Yeah, but now as a pure midfield, I agree with that.
Yeah, it was a good move by the coach coming into last season. The last 3 or 4 games he played him in the middle.
What works for Hayden Young is their handball receive numbers are up Freo. So they're marking and going, but they've got great representation and run from behind. So Hayden Young plays as a midfielder, but he still gets in behind it at about 70, 80 out from defensive goal. And then he receives there to be able to release to half forward effectively. And that's working really well for Freo.
Do you think they'll make the finals? I don't think they will.
Oh, geez.
I think, well, like St
Kilda,
like St Kilda last year, if they bank the wins early, and they've already got them on the board, if they can get themselves to 7 from 10, then all of a sudden they're a realistic chance of playing
West Coast twice as well.
Yeah, so there's 2.
The Derby. So
there's 2.
They've got Carlton, Port Adelaide, West Coast, the Bulldogs, Richmond, Sydney, St Kilda, Collingwood and Melbourne. So their next run up into the bye in round 13 is difficult. I think we're going to know a lot more about them on the weekend and in the coming couple of months. Johnno, you were pretty good at nearly picking an upset in round one proper. What game is most likely to cause an upset this week? So I'll give you the options. Can Adelaide beat Melbourne? Can Essendon beat Port Adelaide?
I've tipped Adelaide to beat Melbourne.
So well, there it is. That's the answer. I don't need to go through
the
any
Adelaide
more
Crows.
games.
Why? No question.
Why? Well, on what basis could you possibly pick the Adelaide Football Club off 34 points against a team that finished 14th last year?
I think they just get it done, Kane. There's no scientific.
Okay, there's
nothing scientific about this. I just think that they're not going to start 0-4 or 0-3. They're 0-4. I just can't see them losing at home to Melbourne off another short break.
Viney potentially out. He's crook at the moment.
Yeah.
May.
Which that hurts. And May, of course. But they did that well last week, Melbourne. That was my biggest concern with Melbourne. And Lever going in with the injury cloud, but he played very well. He actually tried a little bit too hard early, Lever, and got into his groove in the second quarter and had an outstanding game for the D's. And he looked pretty sharp. So, but I don't know. I just think Adelaide will get it right on their home deck. Big game, Thursday night footy, and I think their stars will come, and I think Dawson will lead them extremely well.
I don't want to take anything away from Richmond, except to say that all those people who said their pressure was great, it wasn't. It was 173, which is less than average. But Richmond had a fantastic win. Let's just put it straight on the top. Magnificent, great to have their first win.
Was it their pressure moments more than a complete pressure game? Because they're actually quite inspiring.
Well, they had 52 tackles to 44.
Yeah, but there was some inspiring moments that would really lift you as a teammate.
Well, I'm only going off the numbers, but nevertheless, it was a great win. But it was actually a great loss to Sydney. And it could be a loss that could cost them a top 4 spot. And yet it seems as if it's just been swept under the carpet. If you were advising or talking to the Sydney Swans players right now, which seem to just turn up and expect the win to happen, what would you be sort of assessing and what would you be addressing, Johnno?
It's kind of difficult to pinpoint one thing because they had a poor start. So I think that's what I would address first up is poor start into a good second quarter into then
missed tackles, sloppy kicking.
Yeah, but I think the start comes to all of those sort of things. And we watched them live against Collingwood, and it was Rowbottom who had an unbelievable first quarter, but their pressure against the Pies was brilliant. So that's upstairs, isn't it, in terms of their mental approach to the game. So you got against Collingwood, who reigning premiers, and the mentality of the pressure in the first quarter against Richmond aside, they expect to win, and they would have gone into that game expecting to win. They play the West Coast Eagles this week. So I think the first quarter is what will determine the outcome of this game, whether it is just going to be a flow-through win by 30 points against the West Coast Eagles, or whether it's going to be a 60-plus or a 10-goal win. And I think the first quarter will determine a fair bit.
Yeah, the Thursday night teams are in. Johnno has unexpectedly picked Adelaide on what can only be described as a hunch because he thinks they won't go 0.
Gerard and I were having a chat in the break around this game, and we've all been a part of teams where you go over and play the Adelaide Crows and you've got their measure. You're a better team than them throughout that year, yet they'll just surprise you at home. And I think Melbourne will be in for a surprise tomorrow night.
The axe has been sharpened by Matthew Nix, who says that they're in a dark spot. 5 changes. Ball ace, Scholl, Pedler omitted. Murphy, Miller are injured. Butts, Parnell, Cook, Berry, Nankervis in. And for the very settled Demons who get stronger, they welcome back Stephen May. He's going to be sore, you would think, Stephen May, but he's going to take the place of Marty Hoare. So miraculous recovery from Stephen May. So the courage is on full display there. He'll probably have some bandaging.
He'll have a mattress.
Padding.
He'll have a mattress around. He'll have to go 3 sizes up for the jumper.
He'll have the Sean Wren knee brace.
He will.
Plastered to
Taylor
his ribs.
Walker? Is there any question mark on him and his fitness?
No, not that I've heard. His father-in-law passed away a week or so ago, so the family's been going through a difficult spot. Yep. But I don't think there's any doubt that he will play, and I think his back's okay. So they need him, and they need him probably to kick. I don't know how many goals does Tex need. He needs to kick 3 at least for them to kick a winning score.
Maybe 5.
3 or 4.
Well, it depends on how many Fogarty's going to kick.
Well, they need 10 plus between Isaac Rankin, Fogarty, and Walker.
Fogarty didn't get out of a puff last week.
He's very lucky to still be in the side. So does that change anything, Johnny?
No, it doesn't. I still think I think forward of centre, the Adelaide Crows that's where their talent is, and Melbourne's defence from a tall point of view is strong, but they've got some ground level players here that I think can cause some issues. And I just think Jordan Dawson gets it done. Honestly, I just think he gets it done. I think the coach
him in the middle.
Coach will put it on him this week to not only lead the side with some intent, but also to use the ball extremely well. And wouldn't surprise me if Jordan's there, just give it to him this week, because I think that's critical for his kicking skills to get back to their very best.
All right, let's move on to your regular spots, and we'll start with the rolling All-Australian team. We've got a bit more information now, Johnno.
Yeah, it's starting to sort of build up. Not too many changes this week. Starting to build a list on the side, Gerard, that I know you like, because you throw about 8 names at me normally on who should be in or out of the team. I've gone with Nick Vlosten, who comes into the team, Sammy Taylor and Collins in the back pocket, Tommy Stewart, Blakey and Whitfield is the half back line. Errol Goulden, Caleb Sarong survives, Josh Kelly on the wing, Daniels, Mackay and Petrarca across the half forward line. Bailey Fritz comes in, Hogan and Curnow. Jackson, Heaney and Green remain in the middle of the ground. Rao, Bont, Butters and Warner survive the bench. It's just probably until the next couple of weeks when everyone's played and the buys.
Do you think Goulden's played well enough to be All-Australian?
Yeah, I do.
You reckon?
Yeah, I do. On the wing, I do. Yeah, he wasn't as good on the weekend. But there are some players.
Think you're being kind.
Well, there's some players on the sidelines like Alex Pearce. We mentioned Neil Bolin earlier, and Pickett and Gorn. Melbourne have got 3 that could easily jump straight into the team. I think Hugh McCluggage has been pretty strong. He could replace Goulden on a wing in coming weeks. Paddy Cripps is strong. Luke Ryan from Freo has had a good start to the year, but you just can't get him in at the moment. The tall backs.
Who's the fullback?
So the fullback, Sammy Taylor, Collins, and Blakey are the 3. Well, that's where it's tough at the moment, because as Pearce had a better start than Taylor.
Collins has been that good?
Collins has been very good. I've loved the way that he's started the season.
The grey wall of Pearce has been impenetrable.
He has been. And Zach Merritt's another unlucky one at the moment. But Merritt, I think, gets in. There's probably question marks on Rao at the moment, Goulden at the moment, Bailey Fritz. The small forward spot is another one that I think will just go through the whole year, and will ebb and flow on who gets that particular role.
Ruck's always interesting as well. Gorn's been sensational and has had a monopoly on it. And hard to knock off,
Timmy English hasn't started as well this year. He was okay on the weekend and got himself going, but Luke Jackson's had a flyer, so he starts in the ruck at the moment. But that's where there may be 2 spots. If Luke Jackson keeps going really well, he could go to a forward pocket easily, and Max
Kane doesn't think he can play in the forward pocket.
You don't think so, Kane?
No, I need to see it first.
Okay.
Well, I don't think he can't, but he's nowhere near as effective in the forward pocket as he is in the ruck.
Around the ground.
Yeah, I mean, that's his spot. All right.
Would you pick up Dustin Martin if you were the Gold Coast, Johnno?
Yes. Wouldn't even blink at it.
Okay.
How much? How long? How much?
Oh, how much? Probably 3-year deal at $800 a year.
That's a pay cut for him of about 50%.
That's a pay cut for him.
He's 33.
Yeah, exactly. So that takes him to 36 at $800 a year. Plus, there'll be a lot of incentives on the back of this deal as well. Yeah. So
you're going to give him an incentive-based contract?
No, there'll be some offline incentives that would be attributed to this.
3 years.
If I was doing the
deal, you reckon he's going to do the buddy and just continue to go?
I don't know. It's because we don't hear from Dusty too much. You just don't know. But I think his footy over the next probably 6 to 10 weeks will tell us a lot about where he's at, and hopefully he goes well, because we all love watching him.
Should we talk Brownlow medals?
Oh, the Brownlow medal, I think it's still in Isaac Heaney's hands in the early stages, and I know this is going to roll throughout the year. Tom Green from GWS wouldn't be too far behind as well. And outside of that, maybe Caleb Sarong's had a couple of best ons, but I still think even Isaac Heaney, although they lost on the weekend, might still pinch one.
Well, he was their best
player, and he's leading the coaches' votes as well. So I see Isaac Heaney there, and then we look at the premiership race and what teams we consider to be in that premiership race at the moment. A couple have jumped in, so we had GWS, Melbourne, Sydney, Geelong, and Carlton. I think who you can consider that could take it out this year.
Have you dropped any of those?
No, I've brought Carlton in though to that crew. Western Bulldog. I think I dropped Port Adelaide out of there, actually, coming through the second list, which is in the mix. We hope will jump into contention and create some excitement. The Bulldogs, Freo, Port Adelaide, Essendon, Gold Coast still at the moment, Pies, and the Brisbane Lions sit in that second block. Although Brisbane haven't won this year, I still think they sit there.
Yep.
And then Richmond, Adelaide, North, Hawthorn, and West Coast are the ones that can't do it this year.
Are you surprised at how poor Adelaide have been?
Yeah, I have, to start. Yeah, absolutely. I think we all have. And I think it was a bit of a surprise. It's even surprised Matty Nix, I think, the fact that they haven't been able to get any sort of continuity going in their performance as a team. So they've got a lot of work to do now. They'll be lucky to get to the bottom part of the 8, and that'd be a huge climb for them from this start.
Bit of news around from your club, Johnno. I just saw on AFL News that Tom Liberatore has signed a 1-year contract extension. I suspect I'm late on that news. I haven't been on social media today. But the other one is that the Western Bulldogs and Tim English have started contract discussions. I don't know if it's been reciprocated from the English camp, but the Western Bulldogs have put a contract offer to retain the All-Australian ruckman, according to Kautumi.
What would that look like from you, Kane?
I'm very hesitant to pay ruckman big money. Very hesitant.
What about length? What about years?
It'll be 6 or 7. That's where it will land.
It's going to be a big number because, I mean, clearly the West Coast have got a dearth of super players. They've got Matty Flynn over there, but they're going to surely probably put a contract with a 1 point something in front of him.
Do the Bulldogs go, if you want to go and play at West Coast for the next 5 years, good luck to you.
Well, that is the downside.
That's right.
So the question on the West Coast...
But how much of a difference could he make to them? Do you think he could have a...
That's the issue.
It's not a Nat Nui influence because he's a totally different beast. But we're talking about a significant influence that a player could instantly make to your midfield. What would that do?
I think the target
to Reed
of the Eagles...
and Ginby...
Yeah, but I think the target of the Eagles almost needs to be younger because English, I don't know, 26 is he now? 25, 26? By the time he's 30, I think, it's impossible to do though, but like a Horn France, if you can get them a couple of years in or target some West Australians that are 22, 23, that is more appealing to me, and pay them big money. Like if you can get an explosive midfielder or anyone with talent, I'd be spending my money there more so than paying Tim English 1.2 million, and by the time he's 30, then the Eagles might be ready to play finals. So, anyway, we'll see.
But I think it's a really important discussion that they will be having, I reckon, right now. Do we rise too quickly and spend all our tickets now just to get to, at best 8th, or do we accumulate, which is what North Melbourne are doing, picking up lots of young A-graders, and then rise in 2 years' time and go and bang your $1 million contracts out there?
It's got to be the draft, doesn't it?
It has got to be the draft.
It has to be. If they're rebuilding, it has to be the draft.
They have to have one rule there: no trading.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I think they need to build it from within and get a really good core group of 6 to 10 young guys together that can take the club forward.
Yeah, that's the model. Like, so Essendon have gone for 4 experienced players, but they gave nothing up to get them other than a big contract, and that's fine if you can cop the hit with the salary. Good luck to you, but it doesn't affect your draft capital. So, yeah, they need some experience. Can you get them on the cheap, or can you get them through free agency and you pay the wage but you don't pay the compensation, and then you got to go to the draft? And I suspect that is what they will do.